You might know your New Zealand market like the back of your hand, but when it comes to selling online overseas, it can be a different story, even if you've spent time in your overseas market before. Many exporters overlook data when they're entering a new market or only think about sales data. But they've also got a limited budget for advertising, so they need to make smart decisions, and this is where customer data shines. Not convinced you need it? Let us explain why you do. As a New Zealand exporter, it can be hard to compete in overseas markets, so any information about how your customers buy will tell you how you should be selling. So let's start by going over what customer data actually means. When we say customer data, we're not talking about revenue, unit sales, the impact of your promotional activity, seasonality, and the number of returns. That's sales data. Customer data is all about your customers and can be broken down into 4 categories. The first is demographic data, which helps to explore the types of people who are buying your product. It's things like geography, gender and age. Advertising to an entire country, for example, might work in New Zealand, but it's going to cost an arm and a leg when you swap New Zealand for Shanghai. If you choose to target females in the CBD over 25, you'd probably still be talking about the population of New Zealand. Then there's behavioral data. This dives into how your customer behaves and can be used to target your marketing activity to a group that's more likely to buy from you. To get this data, you can ask things like, which channel are customers purchasing through? How often do they buy from you? What's the average value of their orders? What time and day of the week do people make purchases? How do customers get to your site or product? And how many are actually buying something? And are your customers first-time buyers or are they repeat customers? Okay, let's move on to qualitative data. There's nothing like personal feedback to tell you what customers are really thinking, and this can help you make changes or improvements to your product or service. As well as collecting direct feedback, you can also take a look at the reasons products are being returned. And lastly, personal data. If you're selling through your own website, you might be collecting things like names, emails, and phone numbers, depending on the privacy rules of the country you're in, like GDPR or CCPA, or your customers' preferences. This info can help personalize the customer experience. You might be able to look at purchase history and suggest similar items or simply remarket. So we've talked about what it is. How do you get customer data? If you're selling through your own website, you can use it to collect customer data. But if you're selling through a marketplace, you'll be a little bit more limited to get more detailed data. You'll probably have to pay for it. Either way, there should be some form of reporting available. This is where Kiwi exporters have been caught out. They've realized they need more data after agreeing the price of their products with online retailers, so the additional costs aren't in the budget. It's not such a big deal with marketplaces because you've got more control of the price. No matter where you're selling, it's best to consider the costs of insights in the selling price from the start. If you're using a marketplace, there's usually a high level of sales data available, but depending on the platform, sometimes it's too high level and not available when you want it. To get to the nitty-gritty, detailed information that you can act on, you can use plugins or see if there's an option to pay more for richer data. Amazon can plug into Helium 10 or Zoho Analytics, for example. Ocado has Beat, previously Crunch, and all of the big players like Tesco and Alibaba have solutions you can tap into. Don't forget, you can also collect information on the ground by doing a bit of digging. Some retailers have done their own market research with surveys of online campaigns or just turning up to a local market. A coffee roaster gained useful insight into its product by setting up in a London market. Anything you can learn about your market and overseas customers is gold. Who are they? What are their general shopping patterns in your category? What do they think about your product? So, if you're planning to build a market overseas, making sure you have customer data and know who you're selling to puts you a step ahead. It tells you how to reach them, which means you can make strong decisions when it comes to investing in marketing for your product. If you've only got sales data, you might be limiting your growth overseas. If you can try to understand the cost of customer data before deciding on your price tags, that's best case scenario. For more information and help on exporting, please visit MyNZTE.